This is a Ramping Up Your English book review. If you've taken an interest in the theme of trains and railroads, you can grow that interest with Trains magazine. This is for the serious rail fan or just anyone who loves trains. Each issue has a main theme, this one about Western steam engines clearing the tracks of snow and ice. Since the featured events were for photographers, there are incredible pictures in this special winter and holiday issue. This issue also features Union Station in Kansas City, a beautifully remodeled historic train station served by Amtrak's Southwest Chief during its nighttime run between Chicago and Los Angeles. Trains magazine is also a good source of finding railroad museums closest to your home. If you want to know more, visit their website. I found my copy at a newsstand and I just couldn't resist buying it. This has been a Ramping Up Your English book review. I'm John Letts. Welcome back to Ramping Up Your English, a support program for intermediate level English learners. You can watch and download this program and others by visiting archive.org/details/RogueTV. Choose Ramping Up Your English from the sidebar or choose my name, John Letts. You can see this program on Channel 15 in Ashland and Channel 182 on Charter Cable. This is Episode 10, Segment 3. I've enjoyed sharing my hometown of Crowley, Louisiana with you in the first segment, but Amtrak's Sunset Limited takes passengers far beyond Crowley and the rest of Louisiana. If you're ready to travel the 900 miles across Texas, here's the next video clip to get you there.
Amtrak's Sunset Limited westbound. In Part 1, we left Crowley and the rest of Acadiana, chasing the sunset toward Los Angeles.
Parkerson Avenue. Avenue F.
The sun was setting as we left Lake Charles, crossing the Calcasieu River. We soon found ourselves crossing a true Louisiana swamp, chasing that sunset into East Texas.
That's right, we had a bridge to go over. That's funny.
Sabine River. We are now in Texas.
The revised schedule of the Sunset Limited gives us more daylight, allowing us to see this iconic hotel in Beaumont, Texas. The port of Beaumont connects its petroleum industry with the Gulf of Mexico. Heading west from Beaumont, the Sunset Limited on the revised schedule travels through East Texas. It always impresses me that there's so much countryside even between these large cities. Speaking of large cities, our next stop is Houston, the largest city in Texas. Leaving the Houston Amtrak station, the train does an interesting maneuver. First, it travels straight out and crosses the main railroad tracks, the main line right here at this diamond. Now look at some of these houses, these worn down, boarded up houses. I've been seeing them here for years.
Now we're going back the mile.
What Charlie says is true. As if seeing those old dilapidated houses once wasn't enough, now we back up on the line to cross the main line again. You can see the freight train through the window. The main line is double-tracked, so after backing up, we join the main line for the next part of our trip. Even with the revised schedule, the Houston area is the last we see in the daylight. Heading westbound, it seems we always arrive in San Antonio in the dark. When Southern Pacific ran the Sunset Limited, they picked up westbound cars in El Paso. Amtrak Sunset Limited picks up westbound cars from Chicago at San Antonio. The platform is a busy place. I often sleep through this stop, but this time, in the wee hours, I got my video camera out and walked around. The hubbub on the platform ended. I seemed out there by myself. The San Antonio station seemed to be made for nighttime. I walked to the rear of the train and found this private car. Amtrak often pulls cars belonging to railroad clubs. Cars from streamliners during railroad's golden age are often refurbished by individuals or clubs. This was a car from the famous California Zephyr. This retired Southern Pacific steam engine was strung with lights for Christmas. At San Antonio, 2 cars from the Chicago train are hitched to the Sunset Limited for the trip to Los Angeles. These added cars are from a train called the Texas Eagle, a train Amtrak saved from the old Missouri Pacific Railroad. Looking into the waiting room, I'm reminded that some of these passengers have to wait for hours before they can board the Sunset Limited. It would take some time for the new train to be configured, but I was ready to go back aboard the sleeping car.
Welcome back to Ramping Up Your English. We're using a content-based approach to help viewers elevate their level of English proficiency. Our first unit is Trains and Railroads. The legendary Sunset Limited trains came into existence because of the Southern Pacific Railroad. The history of this railroad can be explored through this fascinating book by Brian Solomon. Growing up in Southern Oregon's tracks, or near their tracks, I should say, I could never imagine a world without Southern Pacific. I was brought back to those years when Southern Pacific ruled southern Louisiana. The train's whistle in the night was my lullaby. Watching the gray and red locomotives at a crossing and waiting for the caboose was a daily activity. But there was much more to this railroad than my limited experience. This title from Voyager Press is organized into 6 chapters, from the building of the railroad empire to its disappearance into Union Pacific. Of special interest to me are the descriptions of the Siskiyou line into Oregon and the coastal route in California that I've seen from Amtrak's Coast Starlight. If you're a rail fan, you'll learn all about motive power used by Southern Pacific over the years and the challenging grades and loads that were tackled by the sheer power of the equipment and the skill of the train crews. The photography in this book is outstanding. If you want to learn more about the railroad that blessed this country with the Southern Pacific Sunset Limited, you'll want to get your hand on Brian Solomon's Southern Pacific Railroad by Voyager Press. Remember, learning more about our unit theme is the best way to make these programs comprehensible, and that speeds up your growth in your target language of English. Congratulations! If you've been with me since our first episode, you've completed 10 episodes doing numerous grammar exercises, working with various language functions, and experiencing language patterns that have strengthened your English proficiency. To celebrate, you'll find 2 bonus videos on our website, letscreate.org. These bonus videos are each a half hour of the Sunset Limited, consisting of the 5 eastbound episodes, plus some extra images. You'll find them on the episode 10 page on letscreate.org. Let's do some more FAQs, some frequently asked questions. Here's another frequently asked question about language acquisition. Is Rosetta Stone a good way to learn English? Well, there are many ways to learn a second language. As a Spanish learner, I had great benefits in using Rosetta Stone, and as a teacher, I've also seen benefits for the children I taught. Now, having said that, any single way to learn a second language will have its limitations, and a computer-based instruction program is no exception. There's a saying that there are many paths to the top of the mountain, but the view is always the same. So I won't get into comparing one path against another. I will say this, if you can work with a language teacher, by all means do so. Many places have community colleges that offer ESL. Southern Oregon has Rogue Community College, which has an excellent program. And if you can get a class with just a few dedicated students, I think you'll find it well worth the time and expense. Now, having said all that, remember that no one size fits all. If you're analytical, you may want to include a grammar-centric approach. If you're highly social, you just can't beat a small conversation group. And of course, this content-based approach that I offer here could be an important addition to any of these approaches. I recommend using as many as your time and effort will allow. If you found resources that have worked well for you, please share them on my blog and I'll pass them on. That's at letscreate.org. You can see and download a copy of today's program and others by going to archive.org/details/roguetv. Use the sidebar to choose Ramping Up Your English or choose my name, John Letts. I want to thank my volunteer crew, my announcer Bob Ayers, RVTV, and I want to thank you, our viewers. See you next time on Ramping Up Your English. I'm John Letts.
You've been watching Ramping Up Your English, a support program for intermediate level English language learners. Learn more. Visit our website at letscreate.org. You can also watch or download today's program at archive.org/details/roguetv. Join us next time on RVTV Voices for Ramping Up Your English.